It was supposed to be just another Friday evening. Steve wasn't due home until Sunday from his business trip, the third one this month. I had wine chilling, candles lit, and for once, I wasn't spending another night alone scrolling through Instagram watching other couples live the life I thought I'd have. But Steve walked in early, unannounced, and turned one moment of weakness into the complete destruction of my life. He acts like he was this perfect husband who got blindsided by his evil, cheating wife. But he'll never tell anyone about the years of loneliness that led to that night. The forgotten anniversaries, the I'm too tired rejections, the way he'd look right through me like I was furniture. He got his revenge, took photos, filed for divorce, ruined 2 other lives in the process. All while maintaining his cold, calculated silence that he probably thinks makes him look strong. Let me tell you what really happened in our marriage, not the version Steve tells. We met 6 years ago at a mutual friend's wedding. He was charming then, attentive, romantic, everything I thought I wanted. He'd bring me flowers just because, plan surprise dates, text me throughout the day. I fell hard for this man who seemed to see me, really see me, but marriage changed him. Or maybe it revealed who he really was. The flowers stopped after the honeymoon. The surprise dates became, can't we just order in? The texts dwindled to logistics, picking up milk or working late again. He poured himself into his job, chasing promotions and bonuses while I became invisible in my own home. I'm doing this for us, he'd say when I complained about another canceled dinner, another weekend alone. For our future. But what about our present? What about the woman lying next to him in bed, desperate for any kind of connection? Sex became a scheduled obligation, like taking out the trash. Once a week if I was lucky. Missionary position, lights off, no passion. Just Steve going through the motions before rolling over to check his phone. I tried everything, lingerie, date nights, even couples therapy suggestions. He'd pat my hand and promise things would get better after this project. Or once things calmed down at work. Things never calmed down. Chad from work noticed me first. Really noticed me. Not just as Steve's wife or another face in the office. He'd compliment my presentations, ask about my weekend plans, actually listen when I talked. When he found out I spent most evenings alone, he invited me to his gym. No reason to be lonely, he said with that smile that made me remember I was still a woman, not just a neglected wife. The gym became my escape. Chad pushed me, encouraged me, made me feel strong and capable. When Steve would text that he'd be late again, I had somewhere to go besides an empty house. When he'd fall asleep during another movie night, I'd think about how Chad's eyes lit up when I walked into the gym. The first kiss was after a particularly brutal workout. I was frustrated about another forgotten anniversary, our 4th, and channeling my anger into the weights. Chad stayed after closing to spot me, to listen to me vent. You deserve someone who shows up, he said softly. When he kissed me, I felt alive for the first time in years. Wanted, desired, like I mattered. I should have stopped it there, but I was so starved for affection that I couldn't. Jake from accounting had been flirting for months. Unlike Steve's mechanical interactions, Jake made me laugh. He'd leave funny notes on my desk, bring me coffee exactly how I liked it, remember little details about my life that my own husband forgot. When he suggested drinks, after a particularly rough day, Steve had canceled our dinner plans again, I said yes. 1 drink became 3. His hand on my knee became his lips on my neck in the parking lot. Another line crossed, another desperate grasp at feeling wanted. That Friday was supposed to be different. Steve was away. Shock of all shocks. And I was tired of being alone. Chad suggested we grab drinks. Jake was already at the bar when we arrived, and the 3 of us fell into easy conversation. The wine flowed, inhibitions dropped, and for once I felt like the center of attention. You're incredible, Chad said, his hand on my thigh. Steve doesn't deserve you, Jake added, filling my glass again. I should have gone home, should have called it a night. But the thought of returning to that empty house, that cold bed, that life where I was a ghost, I couldn't do it. My place is closer, I heard myself say. What happened next wasn't planned. It wasn't some calculated betrayal like Steve makes it sound. It was 3 lonely people seeking connection, validation, escape. Was it wrong? Yes. Was it the culmination of years of neglect, rejection, and loneliness? Also yes. When Steve walked in, the look on his face wasn't hurt. It was disgust, like I was something dirty he'd stepped in. He didn't yell, didn't cry, didn't even ask why. He just turned and left, and in that moment, I saw how little I'd meant to him. A real husband would have fought, would have wanted answers. Steve just wanted evidence. He came back with a camera. A camera! While I was sobbing, trying to explain, trying to salvage something from the wreckage, he was taking photos like a crime scene investigator. Cold, methodical, already planning his exit strategy. The letter I wrote him wasn't full of excuses like he claims. It was my heart poured onto paper, explaining the years of loneliness, the death of our intimacy, the desperate need to feel alive again. But he burned it. Of course he did. Steve never wanted to understand, he just wanted to win. He destroyed everything with his revenge. Chad's marriage imploded. His wife took the kids and moved across the country. Jake lost his job when Steve made sure everyone at the office knew. 2 families destroyed because Steve needed his pound of flesh. And me? I lost everything. The house, half my savings, my reputation. Steve made sure everyone knew I was the cheating whore who broke his heart. No one wanted to hear about the nights I cried myself to sleep, the anniversaries spent alone, the husband who treated me like a roommate he barely tolerated. He rebuilt his life, he says. Moved to a nice apartment, started therapy, reconnected with friends. You know what I got? Judgment, shame, the scarlet letter of adultery while he got to play the wounded hero. He says he's careful in private now because he walked into hell that night. But he created that hell with years of neglect. I was drowning, and instead of throwing me a life raft, he documented my struggle and used it against me. I'm not proud of what happened, but I'm not sorry for seeking warmth when my marriage was frozen solid. Steve can tell himself he was the perfect husband, betrayed by his evil wife. But I know the truth. I was a woman so starved for love that I took it anywhere I could find it. And when Steve found out, he didn't just leave. He made sure to destroy everything in his wake, all while maintaining that cold silence he mistakes for strength. That's not moving on. That's revenge disguised as dignity. So yes, I had 2 men in our bed. But Steve had already left our marriage long before that night. He just needed an excuse to make it official, and I gave him the perfect one. Now he gets to be the victim while I'm the cautionary tale. But at least for one night, I remembered what it felt like to be wanted. That's more than Steve gave me in 4 years of marriage.